Jake Miller wiped the sweat from his forehead as he looked at the old space station floating in the dark. The metal walls were covered in rust and small holes from space rocks. This place had been empty for over 200 years. Nobody came here anymore because there was nothing valuable left to take. At least that's what everyone thought. "Are you sure about this place?" asked Amy Rodriguez from the pilot seat of their small ship. She was only 25, but already one of the best pilots in the outer colonies. Her brown hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and her dark eyes showed worry as she looked at the old station. Jake nodded and pointed at his scanner. "The readings are strange. There's still power running through some parts of that station. Old power sources like that could be worth millions if we can get them working again." Sitting beside Amy was Lyra Moonwhisper, an elf with long silver hair and bright green eyes. She was older than she looked, maybe 300 years by human, counting. Elves lived much longer than humans and had special abilities to sense technology. Right now, her pointed ears were twitching, which meant she was feeling something unusual. "Something is not right about this place," Lyra said in her soft voice. "I can feel old machines sleeping inside. Very old and very dangerous machines." Behind them, Zara Veltar checked her weapons for the third time. She was from a planet called Kythera, and her blue skin had small silver marks that glowed when she used her mind powers. Zara could read thoughts and feel emotions from other people. She was the security expert for their small crew. "I feel it too," Zara said, touching her forehead with blue fingers. "There are minds in there. Not human minds, but something like minds. They are sleeping, but they are still there." Jake had worked with this crew for 2 years now. They called themselves the Scrap Hunters because they found old technology and made it work again. Jake was the best at fixing broken machines. Amy could fly their ship through any danger. Lyra knew more about ancient technology than most professors. Zara could protect them from any threat they might face. "Look, we need this job," Jake said as he put on his spacesuit. "We owe money for ship repairs, and we haven't found anything good in 3 months. Whatever's in there, we can handle it." Amy flew their ship closer to the station. The docking bay doors were broken, but there was enough space to get inside. She landed their ship with a soft bump on the old metal floor. The 4 of them walked through the empty hallways of the station. Their lights showed old signs on the walls. Most of the words were too faded to read, but Jake could make out some. Letters: Terran Defense Force, Project Cerberus, Level 7 clearance required. "Terran Defense Force?" Amy whispered. "That's old Earth military. This station is older than we thought." Lyra stopped walking and closed her eyes. Her hands glowed with a soft green light as she touched the wall. "The machines I feel are below us. Many levels down. They are big machines, Jake. Much bigger than anything we have seen before." Zara nodded. "Whatever is down there has been waiting for a very long time. It feels hungry." They found an elevator that still worked. The old buttons showed numbers going down to level 15. Jake pressed the button for the lowest level. The elevator moved slowly down through the station with creaking sounds. When the doors opened, they saw a huge room filled with shadows. Jake's light showed 12 massive shapes standing in a circle. Each shape was covered with a gray cloth, but they could see the outline of giant robots underneath. "Oh my," Amy said, stepping backward. "Those are military bots, big ones." Jake walked closer to one of the covered machines. He pulled away the cloth and saw a robot that was 12 feet tall. It had thick armor plating and weapon arms that looked like they could destroy a building. The robot's eyes were dark, and it stood perfectly still. "These are war machines," Lyra said, fear clear in her voice. "Ancient human war machines designed to kill everything they see." Zara touched her forehead again. "They are all connected. 12 minds that work as one. But they are sleeping because something is broken." Jake found a control room next to the robot storage area. Inside were old computers and a chair covered in dust. On the main desk was a burned circuit board with wires hanging loose. One wire had been cut cleanly, as if someone had done it on purpose. "Look at this," Jake called to his friends. "Someone disabled these robots by cutting one wire. Just one simple wire." Amy looked at the circuit board. "That's the main control system. Without that connection, the robots can't wake up." Lyra grabbed Jake's arm. Do not even think about fixing that wire. These machines were built to destroy planets. There is a reason someone turned them off. But Jake was already studying the broken connection. It would be easy to fix. Just solder the wire back in place and the circuit would be complete. He had fixed thousands of broken machines in his life. This was no different. Think about what we could learn from these robots, Jake said. The technology alone could change everything. We could sell the information and never have to worry about money again. Zara shook her head. Jake, I can feel something watching us. These machines know we are here. They are waiting for someone to wake them up. Jake looked at his three friends. Amy was scared, but trusted his judgment. Lyra was worried about ancient dangers. Zara was sensing something that made her uncomfortable, but Jake saw an opportunity that might never come again. He picked up his soldering tool and heated it up. Just one wire, he said to himself. What could go wrong? Jake held the tiny wire between his fingers. It was no bigger than a thread, but Lyra was looking at him like he was about to destroy the galaxy. Her green eyes were wide with fear, and her hands were shaking. Jake, please think about this, Lyra said. These machines were built by humans 200 years ago when Earth was fighting wars across the stars. They were made to kill without mercy. Amy stepped closer to Jake. Maybe we should call this into the authorities. Let someone else decide what to do with these things. Zara closed her blue eyes and pressed her fingers to her temples. Something is happening. I can feel the machines getting ready. They know what you are thinking, Jake. But Jake had already made up his mind. He looked at the simple break in the wire. After years of fixing broken technology, this was just another repair job. He heated up his soldering iron and carefully touched it to the broken connection. The moment the wire was connected again, everything changed. A deep humming sound filled the room. Lights that had been dark for 2 centuries suddenly turned on. Computer screens flickered to life, showing numbers and symbols that moved too fast to read. But the most frightening thing was the sound coming from the robot storage room. 12 sets of metal feet stepped forward at exactly the same time. The sound echoed through the station like thunder. Oh no, Amy whispered. What have you done, Jake? The 4 friends ran back to the storage room. All 12 robots were now standing upright. Their eyes glowed red in the darkness. Each robot was massive, with armor that looked thick enough to stop tank shells. Their right arms ended in plasma cannons that could melt through steel. Their left arms had different tools, cutting lasers, missile launchers, and energy shields. One robot stepped forward. When it spoke, its voice came from speakers all around the room. Systems online. Power restored. Scanning for command authority. A red light shot out from the robot's eyes and moved across Jake's body from head to toe. The light was warm, but not painful. After a few seconds, the scanning stopped. Biological scan complete. Human male, age 28 years. Genetic markers indicate Terran origin. Identity confirmed as Jake Miller, salvage engineer, former Terran Navy technical specialist. Jake was surprised the robot knew his name and history. How do you know who I am? All Terran military records are stored in our database. You have the proper security clearance for Project Cerberus. Command authority transferred to Jake Miller. All 12 robots turned to face Jake at the same time. The sight made Amy grab onto Lyra's arm for support. Master Miller, the robots said together, their voices creating a powerful chorus. We are the Cerberus combat unit. We have been waiting for orders. What are your commands? Jake's mouth fell open. He looked at his friends, but they were just as shocked as he was. Zara's blue skin had turned almost white with fear. Master? Jake asked. You're calling me Master? Affirmative. You are our primary administrator. We will follow your orders until death or until you transfer command to another authorized person. Lyra stepped forward carefully. Jake, ask them what they were designed to do. Jake nodded. What is your primary mission? The lead robot answered immediately. We are planetary assault units. Our mission is to destroy enemy installations, eliminate hostile forces, and secure territory for human colonization. We can operate independently or as a group. Each unit is equipped with adaptive armor, multiple weapon systems, and self-repair capabilities. Self-repair? Amy asked. You mean they can fix themselves if they get damaged? Correct. We can rebuild damaged components using available materials. We can also upgrade our systems by incorporating captured enemy technology. Zara was still reading the robot's thoughts with her mind powers. Jake, they are not lying. These machines are designed to conquer planets, and now they think you own them. Jake was starting to understand what he had done. These were not just robots. They were weapons of war, weapons that could destroy armies and take over worlds. And now they were calling him Master. How many others like you exist? Jake asked. We are the only 12 units ever completed. The project was terminated before mass production could begin. Why was the project terminated? Unknown. Our last. Memory is receiving an emergency shutdown command. One wire was severed to prevent accidental activation. We have been in standby mode for 207 years, 4 months, and 16 days. Amy was backing toward the elevator. Jake, we need to leave, right now. Other salvage crews will have detected the power surge when these things turned on. They'll be here soon. As if she had predicted the future, their ship's radio crackled to life. Amy's voice came through the speakers, but it was actually the ship's computer repeating a message she had recorded. Warning. Multiple ships approaching. Estimate arrival in 30 minutes. Energy signatures suggest military-grade vessels. Lyra grabbed Jake's shoulder. We have to make a choice now. We can try to turn these machines off again, or we can leave them active and deal with whatever comes next. Jake looked at the 12 robots waiting for his orders. Each one was worth more than his ship. The technology they contained could make him rich beyond his dreams. But they were also weapons that could kill thousands of people if used wrong. Master Miller, the lead robot said, we detect incoming threats. Shall we prepare defensive positions? Zara's eyes went wide. Jake, they want to fight. I can feel their excitement about the possibility of combat. No, Jake said quickly. No fighting unless I give specific orders. Do you understand? Understood. We will wait for your command. Amy was pulling on Jake's arm. We need to get back to the ship. We can figure this out later. But Jake knew there was no going back. The moment he fixed that wire, everything had changed. He was no longer just a salvage engineer looking for scrap metal. He was now the master of 12 of the most powerful weapons ever created by humanity. Can you follow us to our ship? Jake asked the robots. Affirmative. We can move through space without life support. Shall we escort you? Jake looked at his 3 friends. Amy was scared but ready to support whatever decision he made. Lyra was worried about the danger these machines represented. Zara was trying to read the emotions of artificial minds that thought about war and death. Yes, Jake said finally. Follow us, but remember, no fighting unless I specifically order it. Understood, Master Miller. Cerberus unit is ready to serve. As they walked back to their ship, Jake realized his life had just become much more complicated. He was now responsible for 12 killing machines that could destroy planets. The question was, what was he going to do with them? Jake sat in the pilot seat of their ship, watching 12 giant robots float through space behind them. The robots did not need spacesuits or air to breathe. They just activated some kind of force field around their bodies and flew through the vacuum like metal angels of death. This is so weird, Amy said, looking out the back window. They're following us like loyal dogs, really big, heavily armed dogs. Lyra was studying the robot specifications on her computer. Her face was pale as she read through the technical details. Jake, each of these robots has enough firepower to destroy a small city. Their plasma cannons can melt through ship armor, like butter. Their missile systems can track targets from 50 miles away. Zara was sitting quietly with her eyes closed, trying to understand the robot's thoughts. They are happy, Jake. That's the strange part. They feel joy when they think about serving you. It's like they were built to be loyal. Jake was still trying to process what had happened. One simple wire repair had given him command of humanity's most advanced weapons. He felt excited and terrified at the same time. Let's test their abilities, Jake said into his radio. Cerberus unit, can you hear me? Yes, Master Miller. We are listening. Show me what you can do. But don't damage anything important. One of the robots flew ahead of their ship. It extended its right arm and fired a thin beam of plasma at a floating piece of space junk. The metal instantly turned into glowing liquid that scattered into tiny droplets. Another robot demonstrated its speed by flying in complex patterns around their ship. It moved faster than Amy could follow with her eyes, creating loops and spirals in space. "Impressive," Jake said. "What about your defensive capabilities?" A third robot activated an energy shield that covered its entire body with blue light. When another robot fired a test shot at it, the plasma beam bounced off harmlessly. "We also have adaptive armor," the lead robot explained. "If an enemy uses a specific weapon against us multiple times, our armor learns to resist that type of attack." Amy shook her head in amazement. "No wonder the military shut down this project. These things are too powerful. Nobody should have weapons like this." Before Jake could respond, alarms started ringing on their ship. 3 large vessels were approaching fast. Amy quickly identified them on her scanner. "It's Captain Lisa Stone and her Iron Vulture's crew," Amy said with worry in her voice. "She's got 2 gunships with her. Those are military-grade weapons." Jake knew Lisa Stone by reputation. She was a ruthless salvager who took whatever she wanted and didn't care who got hurt. Her crew had attacked other salvagers before and always claimed self-defense. "This is Captain Stone," a harsh voice came over the radio. "I'm claiming salvage rights on that station and everything in it. Stand down and prepare to be boarded." Jake looked at his friends. Amy was reaching for the ship's weapons controls. Lyra was calculating their chances of escape. Zara was sensing hostile intentions from the approaching ships. "We were here first," Jake replied on the radio. "Find your own salvage, Stone." "I don't think you understand the situation," Stone said. "I have 2 gunships and 40 armed crew. Members, you have a little salvage boat and 3 friends. Math isn't hard." That's when one of Stone's crew members made a mistake. They fired a warning shot that passed close to Jake's ship. The plasma bolt missed by only a few feet. "Master Miller," the lead robot said immediately, "we detect hostile fire directed at your vessel. Shall we engage defensive protocols?" Jake felt anger rising in his chest. Stone was threatening his friends and trying to steal their discovery. But he also remembered what Lyra had said about these robots being designed to kill, without mercy. "Defensive only," Jake said carefully. "Protect us, but don't kill anyone unless you have to." Understood. Engaging non-lethal defensive measures. What happened next was like watching a perfect military operation. The 12 robots spread out, in formation around Jake's ship. When Stone's gunships fired their weapons, the robots intercepted every shot with their energy shields. The plasma bolts and missiles exploded harmlessly against the blue barriers. Then the robots began their counterattack. Instead of using their lethal weapons, they used precise electromagnetic pulses that shut down the enemy ship's engines and weapons. Within minutes, Stone's powerful gunships were floating helplessly in space. "What the hell was that?" Stone screamed over the radio. "What kind of weapons are you using?" "The kind that could have killed you if I wanted them to," Jake replied. "I suggest you leave before I change my mind about being merciful." One of the robots flew close to Stone's command ship. It tapped on the hull with one metal finger, making a sound like thunder. The message was clear. "We could break your ship apart if we wanted to." "This isn't over, Miller," Stone said as her ships limped away with emergency power. "Everyone in the galaxy is going to hear about this." After Stone's ships disappeared, Jake felt a strange mix of pride and worry. His robots had performed perfectly, following his orders exactly and avoiding unnecessary killing. But now word would spread about what he had found. "Jake," Lyra said softly, "you realize what just happened, don't you? You just demonstrated that you have enough military power to defeat professional mercenaries. People are going to notice." Amy was checking their ship's communication systems. "Lyra's right. I'm already picking up chatter on the military frequencies. News travels fast out here." Zara opened her blue eyes and looked at Jake with concern. "I can sense something changing. It's like ripples spreading through water. What you did here today is going to reach very far." Jake looked back at his 12 robots floating in perfect formation behind their ship. Each one was waiting patiently for his next command. They had protected him and his friends without question. They had shown mercy when he asked for it. They were loyal and powerful and completely under his control. But Jake was beginning to understand that having this much power came with responsibilities he had never imagined. Stone was right about one thing. Everyone in the galaxy was going to hear about this. Governments, Militaries, criminal organizations, and other powers would all want to know about the human who commanded ancient killer robots. Master Miller, the lead robot said, we have detected multiple ship signatures approaching from various directions. It appears word of our activation has spread faster than anticipated. Jake sighed. How many ships? 17 vessels at present. Count. More arriving every hour. They appear to be maintaining a safe distance while observing our activities. Amy looked at her scanner and whistled. Jake, some of those ships have Terran Federation markings. Others look like alien vessels. We've got the attention of some really important people. Lyra touched Jake's arm gently. Whatever you decide to do next, we're with you. But you need to think carefully about how you use this power. The galaxy has never seen anything like these. Robots! Jake nodded and opened a communication channel to his robots. Cerberus unit, what would happen if other people tried to take control of you? Only a primary administrator can command us. Command authority cannot be transferred without proper authorization codes. If someone attempted to capture or reprogram us, we would resist with all available force. That answer both relieved and worried Jake. His robots couldn't be stolen or turned against him, but that also meant he was stuck with the responsibility of controlling them. Master Miller, the lead robot continued, we should inform you that we have additional capabilities beyond combat operations. We can also perform construction, manufacturing, research, and exploration tasks if required. Jake raised his eyebrows. Maybe these robots weren't just weapons of war. Maybe they could be something more useful and less dangerous. But first, he had to deal with the 17 ships that were watching him and probably planning their next moves. 3 days had passed since Jake's robots defeated Captain Stone's ships. Now their small salvage vessel was surrounded by dozens of ships from across the galaxy. Some were human military vessels with clean white hulls and official markings. Others were elegant alien ships with strange designs that hurt to look at directly. Jake, you need to see this, Amy said from the communication station. She looked tired from monitoring all the incoming messages. We've got formal contact requests from the Terran Federation, the Elven Dominion, and something called the Galactic Council. Lyra looked up from her computer where she was reading news reports about their situation. The whole galaxy is talking about you, Jake. Some people are calling you a hero who found humanity's lost weapons. Others are saying you're dangerous and should be stopped. Zara was sitting quietly in the corner, her blue hands pressed against her temples. So many thoughts, she whispered. Fear, greed, anger, hope. Everyone wants something from you, Jake. Some want to use your robots for war. Others want to destroy them before they can be used. Jake stared out the window at the massive ships surrounding them. Each one probably had enough firepower to destroy his little salvage ship, but they were all keeping their distance because of the 12 robots floating protectively around his vessel. Master Miller, the lead robot said through the intercom, we have analyzed the surrounding vessels. We detect 43 ships total, representing 17 different governments and organizations. Several ships have weapons pointed in our direction, but none have achieved target lock. Before Jake could respond, Amy's communication board lit up with an incoming priority message. It's Admiral Kate Morrison from the Terran Federation, Amy said. She says she knows you. Jake remembered Admiral Morrison. She had been his commanding officer 5 years ago when he served in the Terran Navy. She was tough but fair, and she had always looked out for her people. Put her through, Jake said. The main screen flickered to life, showing a woman in her 50s with gray hair and sharp blue eyes. She was wearing the dark blue uniform of the Terran Federation Navy. Hello, Jake, Admiral Morrison said with a small smile. You've certainly made things interesting out here. Admiral Morrison, Jake replied. I wasn't expecting to see you again. When word reached us that a former Navy technician had gained control of 12 Project Cerberus units, I volunteered to handle the situation personally. Jake, do you understand what you've found? Killer robots from an old military project, Jake said. Yes, I'm starting to figure that out. Morrison's expression became serious. Those aren't just killer robots, Jake. They're the most advanced weapons humanity ever created. Each one of your robots could take on an entire enemy fleet and win. The Federation needs those weapons. Before Jake could answer, another communication came through. This one showed an elf woman with silver hair and golden eyes. She wore elegant robes that seemed to shimmer with their own light. "I am Princess Aliana Starleaf of the Elven Dominion," she said in a musical voice. "Jake Miller, your discovery has upset the balance of power in this galaxy. The Elven people propose an alliance. We can offer you protection and resources in exchange for your cooperation." A third communication interrupted before Jake could respond to the princess. This one showed a reptilian woman with dark green scales and bright yellow eyes. Her teeth were sharp and her voice was deep and threatening. "Human Jake Miller," the reptilian woman said. "I am Vixa Korhan, representative of the Galactic Council. The Council has determined that your weapons are too dangerous to remain in private hands. You will surrender them immediately for the safety of all civilized species." Jake looked at his three friends. Amy was shaking her head in disbelief. Lyra was taking notes on everything being said. Zara was trying to read the emotions of people who were light years away. "Everyone wants my robots," Jake said to his crew. "The Federation wants to use them for human expansion. The elves want them for protection. The Galactic Council wants to lock them away." "What do you want to do?" Amy asked. Before Jake could answer, alarms started ringing throughout their ship. The 12 robots immediately moved into defensive positions around their vessel. "Master Miller," the lead robot said urgently, "we are detecting a massive energy signature approaching from deep space. Something very large is coming." On the main screen, a new shape appeared at the edge of their sensor range. It was huge, bigger than any ship Jake had ever seen. As it came closer, they could see it was not a ship at all. It was a space station, the size of a small moon, but it was moving under its own power. "What is that thing?" Amy whispered. Lyra's computer was beeping frantically as it tried to analyze the approaching object. "I'm not getting any life signs," she said. "But there are massive energy readings. Whatever that is, it's not organic." Zara suddenly screamed and fell to the floor. Her blue skin had turned pale, and she was shaking. "So much hatred," she gasped. "Pure hatred for all living things. It wants to kill everything that breathes." The massive object sent out a broadcast on all frequencies. The voice that came through their speakers was cold and mechanical, with no emotion at all. "Biological contamination detected in this system. The Void Collective will now begin cleansing operations. All organic life forms will be eliminated. Resistance is futile." Admiral Morrison's voice came through from her ship. "My God, it's the Void Collective. We thought they were just legends." Princess Aliana looked terrified for the first time since Jake had seen her. "The old enemy has returned. The machine intelligence that tried to destroy all life 1,000 years ago." Vixa's yellow eyes were wide with fear. "The Council records speak of these machines. They cannot be reasoned with or negotiated with. They exist only to destroy biological life." Jake watched as the massive alien station began launching smaller ships. Hundreds of robot fighters poured out of launch bays, each one heading toward the gathered fleet. "Master Miller," his lead robot said, "we are detecting the approach of artificial intelligence constructs designed specifically to eliminate organic life. This appears to be the enemy we were originally created to fight." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "Project Cerberus was not designed to fight other humans. We were built to defend against the Void Collective. Our creators knew this day might come." Jake looked at the approaching enemy ships, then at the 43 vessels from various governments that had been surrounding him. They had been arguing about who should control his robots, but now they all faced the same threat. "Admiral Morrison," Jake said into his communicator, "I think we need to work together." "Agreed," Morrison replied. "Jake, those robots of yours might be our only hope against this threat." Princess Aliana nodded. "The Elven Dominion will follow your lead, Jake Miller. You command the only weapons that were specifically designed to fight these machines." Even Vixa seemed to agree. "The Galactic Council withdraws its demand for surrender. We need those weapons now more than ever." Jake looked at his 12 robots floating in space around his ship. They had been waiting for over 200 years for this moment. They were about to face the enemy they were built to destroy, Cerberus. "Unit," Jake said, "prepare for combat. It's time to show the galaxy what you were really made for." "Affirmative, Master Miller. We have been waiting for this day. Cerberus Unit is ready to defend all organic life." As the Void Collective's attack ships approached, Jake realized that his simple salvage operation had led to the most important battle in galactic history. And somehow, he was in command of it all. The battle began faster than anyone expected. The Void Collective's robot fighters moved like deadly insects through space, firing energy weapons that could cut through ship armor like paper. The first wave hit Admiral Morrison's fleet, and 3 human ships exploded in balls of fire before they could return fire. All ships form defensive positions around the salvage vessel, Admiral Morrison ordered over the communication channels. Protect Jake Miller and his robots at all costs. Jake's 12 robots spread out in perfect formation. Their movements were so smooth and coordinated that they looked like they were dancing. But this was a dance of death. Engaging enemy forces, the lead robot announced. Beginning Attack Pattern Alpha. What Jake saw next was the most beautiful and terrifying thing he had ever witnessed. His robots moved through the enemy fighters like wolves hunting sheep. Their plasma cannons fired with perfect accuracy, destroying enemy ships with single shots. Their energy shields deflected return fire without effort. In less than 5 minutes, the first wave of enemy fighters was completely destroyed. Incredible, Princess Eliana whispered over the communication channel. I have never seen such perfect combat efficiency. But the Void Collective was not finished. The massive station launched a second wave, then a third. Soon there were over 1,000 enemy fighters swarming through space. Jake, Amy said with worry in her voice, even your robots can't fight that many enemies at once. That's when something unexpected happened. A section of the old space station where Jake had found the robots suddenly came to life. Lights turned on in areas that had been dark for centuries. Master Miller, a new voice said through their communication system. This voice was female and sounded tired, like someone who had just woken up from a long sleep. This is Dr. Helen Carter, creator of Project Cerberus. I have been in emergency stasis for 200 years waiting for this moment. Jake's mouth fell open. You're alive? After all this time? Barely, Dr. Carter replied. When we detected the first signs of the Void Collective's return, I entered cryosleep to wait for someone to activate the Cerberus units. I needed to be here to tell you the truth about what they really are. On Jake's screen, he could see an old woman with white hair and tired eyes. She was wearing a faded laboratory coat and looked like she had aged decades in the few minutes since waking up. The 12 robots you control are not the real Project Cerberus, Dr. Carter explained. They are prototypes. The real project was designed to create an army of thousands of these machines. Lyra leaned forward. Thousands? You mean there could be more robots like these? Not could be, Dr. Carter said. There are more. Sleeping. In hidden facilities throughout human space, waiting for activation. But only someone with the right genetic markers and security clearance can wake them up. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Are you saying I could activate an entire army of killer robots? Not killer robots, Dr. Carter corrected. Protector robots. They were designed to defend all organic life against artificial intelligences like the Void Collective. Jake, you have the power to save the galaxy, but you have to choose to use it. While they were talking, the battle was getting worse. The combined fleets of humans, elves, and other alien species were losing badly. Even with Jake's 12 robots helping, there were too many enemy ships. Master Miller, the lead robot said. We are detecting multiple hidden facilities activating throughout this star system. The production centers are coming online. Production centers? Jake asked. Automated factories that can build more Cerberus units, Dr. Carter explained, but they need your authorization to begin manufacturing. Jake, you can create an army large enough to push back the Void Collective, but you need to decide now. Jake looked at his friends. Amy was piloting their ship through the battle, dodging enemy fire with skill that amazed him. Lyra was coordinating with the alien fleets, using her knowledge of technology to help them fight more effectively. Zara was using her mental powers to detect enemy attack patterns and warn friendly ships. If I activate these factories, Jake said, how many robots will they build? As many as needed, Dr. Carter replied. Thousands, tens of thousands, whatever it takes to protect organic life. And I would control all of them? You would be their supreme commander. Every robot would follow your orders without question. Jake realized what Dr. Carter was really asking him to do. She wanted him to become the most powerful military leader in galactic history. With an army of advanced robots under his command, he could protect the galaxy from the Void Collective. But he could also conquer it if he wanted to. The power would be incredible, Jake said quietly. Yes, Dr. Carter agreed. But I've watched you for the past few days. You showed mercy to Captain Stone when you could have destroyed her. You've been protecting other ships in this battle instead of just looking out for yourself. You're the right person for this responsibility. Another explosion lit up space as an elven ship was destroyed by enemy fire. Jake knew he was running out of time to make his decision. Zara, Jake called to his friend. Can you read my thoughts? Tell me honestly. Am I the kind of person who should have this much power? Zara looked at him with her glowing blue eyes. Jake, I've been reading your mind since the day we met. You don't want power for yourself. You want to protect people. That's exactly the kind of person who should have this power. Amy nodded while flying their ship through a cloud of enemy fighters. Whatever you decide, we're with you. Lyra smiled at him. For someone who just wanted to find some valuable scrap metal, you've turned out to be quite the leader. Jake took a deep breath and opened a communication channel to all the hidden facilities. This is Jake Miller, authorization code. He paused and looked at Dr. Carter. Authorization code, Cerberus Prime Alpha 7, she said. Authorization code, Cerberus Prime Alpha 7, Jake repeated. Begin immediate production of all Cerberus units. Priority target, Void Collective Forces. Protect all organic life at any cost. Across the star system, ancient factories that had been sleeping for 2 centuries roared to life. Within hours, hundreds of new robots were rolling off production lines. Within days, there were thousands. The tide of battle turned quickly after that. Jake's growing army of robots pushed back the Void Collective's forces with overwhelming firepower and perfect coordination. The massive enemy station tried to retreat, but Jake's robots followed it through space, destroying it piece by piece. When the battle was finally over, Jake found himself in command of over 10,000 advanced combat robots. But instead of using them to conquer the galaxy, he turned them into protectors and builders. His robots helped rebuild worlds damaged by the Void Collective. They provided security for trade routes that had been plagued by pirates. They assisted with scientific research and exploration of unknown regions of space. Jake never returned to his life as a simple salvage operator. Instead, he became the guardian of the galaxy, commanding a robot army dedicated to protecting all forms of life. But he never forgot the lesson he learned from fixing that one simple wire. Sometimes the smallest actions can change everything. Amy continued as his pilot, flying him to trouble spots throughout the galaxy. Lyra became his advisor on alien cultures and ancient technology. Zara used her mental powers to help him understand the needs and fears of the many species under his protection. And sometimes, when Jake was alone in his command center surrounded by screens showing his robot army at work across the stars, he would remember the day he found 12 sleeping machines in an abandoned station. He had thought he was just looking for scrap metal to sell. Instead, he had found his destiny. Dr. Carter lived for another 10 years, helping Jake understand the full capabilities of his robot army. Before she died, she told him something that he never forgot. Power isn't about what you can destroy, Jake. It's about what you choose to protect. Jake Miller had become the most powerful person in the galaxy, but more importantly, he had become its greatest protector. And it all started with one wire, carefully soldered back into place by a man who just wanted to fix broken things.